Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Redbeard Reviews. I am Redbeard, and today we're talking about the Pixel 9. That's right, I finally got around to putting my thoughts together on the Pixel 9. I've been using this phone for about 2 weeks, and I think I'm ready to talk about it. There's a lot to talk about with this phone. I won't be able to do it all in this video, but be sure to like and comment and subscribe if you want to see more videos about the Pixel 9. I'll try to do more, I can't promise. But I will absolutely do my best. So anyway, let's just get right into it. The Pixel 9 series has been, I don't know if controversial is the right word, but there's a lot, suffice to say, there's a lot to talk about with the Pixel 9 series. So to refresh, Google released the Pixel 9, the Pixel 9 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro XL, and the Pixel 9 Pro XL Fold. Don't get me started. But anyway, today we're just talking about the regular Pixel 9. This is the base model Pixel 9, just the regular vanilla Pixel phone. And to me, this is the most interesting phone Google released. This is the one that is the most interesting to me. And we'll talk a little bit more about why I think that is. But first, let's just go over the hardware, right? As you can see, I got the winter green version. And if you saw my unboxing video, I'm actually really impressed. This color looks a lot better than I thought it would. In the pictures and online, it looks better than I expected. I'm really impressed with it. It's very subtle. It's like a mint greenish color. I really like it. I'm impressed. I'm not normally a green fan. I like the green that OnePlus has been doing, but it's interesting. I really like it, so I'm a fan. The rails are on the side. You got the aluminum rails instead of the stainless steel like you do on the Pro versions, and they're really nice in the hand. They feel really good. They're really smooth. So they're easy to hold, but they're not too slippery, which is nice. But they don't stick like you do with the stainless steel. The back, you got the glass matte back finish back here, which again is nice. I like the frosted look, but it's still slippery, right? It's not as frosted as you get on the Pixel 9 series. So it's glass at the end of the day, so it's still going to break, which is again why I'm appreciative of UAG for sending over a case. They are not a sponsor of this video. They just sent me a free case, so thankful for that. You got the camera plinth, for lack of a better term. I jerry-rigged everything, really kind of took it to town in his teardown video. It's hilarious. But anyway, I don't like it. As I've said from day one, I don't like the design of it. It looks ugly to me. It looks like an afterthought. It looks like they just couldn't figure out anything else to do with it, so they just kind of stuck it on there. I don't like it. I mean, but if you've got to have it, it's there. It's also super thick. I mean, look at that. It's almost half. It's about probably half the size of the phone. I mean, it's massive. The one upside of it is that it doesn't wobble on a table. So take that as you will. But other than that, I like the design of it. Around front, you've got a nice flat screen. I am not as much of a hater on the curved screens as some people are, but I also appreciate a nice flat screen. If for no other reason, then it makes screen protectors a whole lot easier to deal with. But they also finally did a symmetrical bezel all the way around, which is super nice to see. They didn't always have a symmetrical bezel, which you'd think wouldn't be too hard to figure out, especially on a high-end phone. But they finally did it, so grateful to see that. Overall, I'm actually really impressed with the hardware, the design of the phone. It's 6.3 inches, but it's really easy to hold in the hand. The aspect ratio is it's easy to hold one-handed. It's easy to use one-handed, especially if you have tiny hands like me. So I really like it. It's a little different than the iPhone 15. So the iPhone is a little bit shorter and fatter, the same screen size, but a little bit shorter and fatter. These are a little bit taller. I don't have my iPhone to compare with me at the moment, but I like it. So I'm a fan of the design. To be completely honest, with the design of it, I tweeted about this. I said, why does using the Pixel 9 make me want a Galaxy S24? Like the base version, right? The one that's kind of this size. Just because I like that phone. I like the hardware of it a little bit better, even though the camera design is more boring. It's less ugly to me. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. The display is one of the really solid things about this phone. It's a fast refresh rate. It's 120 hertz, so it's going to be smooth. You're not going to have any issues with that. It's very bright, very colorful, very punchy. I really like it. It's what you'd expect in a flagship phone. Pixel displays have kind of been hit or miss for the past couple of years. The Pixel 8 displays, the Pixel 8 Pro displays were pretty good. I'm a fan. I think they finally did a great job with the display, which you would expect from an $800 phone. You want a great display. One of the things that has massively improved is the fingerprint scanner. They went to an ultrasonic one this year instead of a camera, and it's much, much, much faster. I didn't have the Pixel 8 for very long, but I did notice some of the fingerprint issues and the slowness with it. But this one it's extremely fast. I have no issues at all unlocking it almost instantly. Another nice upgrade that seems to be for this year, which they didn't really talk about, and I don't know if anybody's really talked about, is Face Unlock seems to have gotten a little better, a little more secure. And what I mean by that is it seems to be more secure in unlocking more applications. For instance, on my iPhone, I use 1Password as my password manager. My iPhone will use Face Unlock to unlock 1Password and to fill in the passwords. On my other Android phones, it will not use Face Unlock to autofill passwords. I have to use my fingerprint, right? Same thing to open the app. I can't use my Face Unlock on other Android phones to open the app. I can on this one. It doesn't work with banking apps, so I'm not sure how much more secure it got, or I don't know if it's just 1Password that's supporting it specifically, but it's really nice to see. It's a little small touch that's really nice to see that my face can now fill in passwords for me instead of having to use my fingerprint. All right. Now, let's talk about the cameras just for a minute. So, the cameras this year got an upgrade. You've got a 50 megapixel camera, main camera, and then a 48 megapixel ultra wide, but you don't get a telephoto. So that's kind of one of the biggest differentiators between the regular Pixel 9 and the Pixel 9 Pro series is you don't get the telephoto camera. But Pixels have always been known for their great camera processing software, so it's not as much of the hardware, and I'd say that's still true here. The cameras are really solid, they take great pictures. And to be honest, I don't really miss the lack of a telephoto lens. And here's why. I'm not a photographer. I don't claim to be a photographer. I have a decent eye for good pictures, specifically for reviewing. But when I try to review a device, I always look at it from how does it feel to actually use day to day. Again, I'm not a photographer, so I'm a general consumer, I guess. So I pull out my phone, I look, I maybe spend a couple of seconds framing the picture, and I take a picture, and that's it. I move on. If I have a little bit extra time, or if it's a really, really cool scene, I might spend a couple extra seconds tweaking it, or maybe my wife will spend a couple minutes tweaking it in the settings a little bit, but neither one of us are at all professional grade photographers. We're barely amateur photographers. All that to say, for what I use the camera for on my phone, which, let's be honest, when's the last time you took a picture on your phone that did not end up either on social media or in a text message? When was the last time? Tell me. When's the last time? And if you're a photographer, it doesn't count. Don't answer that question. So for social media and texting my friends and family, the camera is more than fine. More than fine. It's great. It's clearly better than the $200 phone, right? So for what it does for that, it's perfectly fine. I don't miss the telephoto. I can still take decent portraits, right? I'm not worried about the frizzing on the edge of the hair. I'm not, I just want to take a cute picture of my kid or my dog, or, a beautiful picture of a flower or something like that. So I'm not super worried about the crazy telephoto capabilities. It doesn't bother me. Videos are still a little bit of a weak point of the Pixels when compared to things like the iPhone or maybe even the S24 Ultra, right? For just every regular general person, they're going to take videos that are just fine for uploading to social media and sharing to friends and family. They look great. They're going to do well. Actions still struggle a little bit. So if you're trying to take fast-moving pictures or videos, it's not going to look maybe as great. So if you have a kid that plays sports and you're taking pictures of their games all the time, you might want to get a different phone. So that's the only thing I would say about that. Selfies, they're fine. I don't take selfies. I don't care about selfies. The selfie camera works. It does a good job, again, for sharing to social media and friends and family. It's going to be fine. If you are a selfie addict or connoisseur, you're not even watching this review for that anyway. So, all right, let's talk about performance. This is one of the areas of the phone that surprised me and did not surprise me at the same time. Let me explain. The Pixel 9 is running all the Pixel phones, including the Pixel 9, the Pixel 9 Pro, Fold, whatever, is also running the Tensor G4 chip. It's the newest line in the Tensor series chips from Google. And since the Tensor G1 back 4 years ago, the Tensor chips have always lagged behind Qualcomm in terms of performance and comparatively to the Snapdragon chips, the high-level chips. And I would say the same is true here. So much so that it was noticeable. After coming from the OnePlus Open and the Samsung Z Fold 6 and the S23 and 24 Ultra, like, I noticed a difference. It's definitely not unusable. It's definitely not like to the point where it's distracting or in the way, but you notice it. So if you're coming from a flagship phone, you're gonna notice the slowdown. I was kind of disappointed. It made sense to me. It was like, hey, the Tensor chips are just not comparable to the Snapdragon, the 8 series, and that's a shame. There's more on that. There's a reason for that, and we'll get to that in just a second. So gaming, it worked. I would stay away from the more intense titles like Call of Duty Mobile and some of the, maybe even Fortnite. When I played things like Brawl Stars, it played fine, but I did notice some frame rate drops and a couple of lags here and there. So it's not going to blow you away gaming performance, but if you're a casual gamer, it'll fit the bill. It'll do the job for you. But again, the Tensor chips still lag behind, and the G4 is no exception. It's not going to blow you away with its performance. But that's also not the point. Here we come to the true crux of the Pixel series, which, with the launch of the Pixel 9, has come more to the forefront than ever before. And that is, of course, AI. Make no mistake that the Google Pixel 9 series of phones is an AI phone. It is being marketed as an AI phone. Google is pitching it as an AI phone. Essentially, this right here and the rest of the lineup in the Pixel series is how Google is trying to bring, or more accurately, force AI into the hands of the masses. They're packaging AI in a phone and shipping it out. They're saying, hey, we build AI, here's how you use it. Everything about this phone, from the launch materials, everything is about AI. It all comes down to AI. And the AI is powered by the Tensor series chips. They've said from day one, from the beginning, it's about powering the AI processes and machine learning on the phone. And so that's definitely what the Tensor G4 chip is about. It powers all the AI stuff. Google spent nearly the entire keynote for the launch of the Pixel 9 series talking about AI. They barely talked about the phones. They talked about AI. They basically said, here's all the cool AI stuff. Oh, by the way, it comes in a phone. That was it. That was the keynote. They mentioned multiple times on stage how they're rebuilding Android from the ground up with Gemini at its core. And the Tensor G chip, the Tensor G4, was built specifically to enable all those AI features that Google wants us to use. If you want me to make a separate video on AI, which I'm trying to do, let me know down in the comments. I'll try to do that. But suffice to say, I have not used them once since using this phone. I've used this phone for about 2 weeks now. I have never once used the AI features outside of the purposes of testing it for this review. Literally, I haven't. I haven't shown it off to a friend. I haven't found myself like, maybe I could do this, right? Or maybe I could use this to do something, right? I've never, ever used it. There are a couple of things, and what I have used is minimal. I use the circle to search, right? Which allows you to just take a, circle, like you press and hold, and you can circle anything on the screen, and it'll search it for you. In the texting, I used some of the generative AI to make like fun responses, right? I did like a Shakespearean style response to a text message with a friend just for fun, right? For the heck of it. But the AI features are everywhere, and I've not used them, and I've not found myself wanting to use them. There's not a single feature that Google talked about where I was like, that's going to change the way I use my phone. It's going to do it. Most of them were creepy and very big brothery, and I want nothing to do with them. But they're there. So the ones that I could maybe see myself using or find a use case for, oddly enough, is the one like screenshots. So they created a whole app, which I don't know why it's a whole app, but basically every screenshot you take on your phone, it can search through your screenshots to help you find things. So if you take a lot of screenshots, I know some people that do, that's how they store things on their phone. That's how they take notes, is they use screenshots. So that's there. So I could see a use for that. Potentially drafting emails, if it's a potentially sensitive email, or it's a very templated email or a marketing email, and that kind of thing, maybe it could be useful for that. Searching your photos, it's always been really good at that, but it's going to help you do that even more. The add me thing, which I don't know if you saw that, which is where like you can take a picture and then it'll hold the idea of the picture of the person that's there, and then you can swap hand the phone to somebody else, and then you go stand there and take another picture, and it'll splice the two together. I think it's creepy. I think it's weird. I could sort of see a use case for it, but I don't plan on using it. The Studio seems like a riff off of Apple's announcement where, hey, you can just make a fun picture of yourself. Literally just a gimmick. I mean, I don't see it really having any sort of actual use case other than maybe a new social media profile picture every now one of them. I don't know. But again, I've not used any of these. Outside of the purposes of testing for this review, I have not used a single AI feature. Nor have I really found myself wanting to. I've talked to Gemini to set things like timers and to ask questions, and it does what it says it will do. But that's it. And again, I might make another video about this, but suffice to say, I've not used it. And I really, 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 really don't like how they're forcing it onto us. Because they're building it deep down into the core of Android where there's no getting around it. So you don't get a choice whether or not you're going to use it. It's there. Because there's no way to turn them off. Let's quickly touch on the rest of the Pixel software. Other than the AI stuff, the Pixel software is still really good. It's clean, it's smooth, it's refreshing. The call screening, where you're on a call and it will provide a menu and it'll wait on hold for you, is next level. I really wish Google would bring that to every Android phone, but I don't see it happening because they need a reason for you to buy a Pixel. So I like it. I like even the little things like the keyboard sounds. I know that seems kind of weird, but I really like the keyboard sounds on the Pixel are my favorite. I'm one of those people, I leave the keyboard sounds on my phone on because I'm a writer. I like to hear the typing. That's why I use a mechanical keyboard. But the keyboard sounds on the Pixel 9 are my favorite. But overall, so my general thoughts about the Pixel 9, as I said, I think it's the most interesting phone Google has released, especially this year, mainly because of what you get for it. It's a few $100s cheaper than the Pixel 9 Pro. It starts at $799 for 12 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. But all you're missing out on is one camera and 4 gigabytes of RAM. The Pixel 9 Pro series has 16 gigabytes of RAM, which this has 12. So basically what they're saying is that extra camera and the 4 gigabytes of RAM is an extra $200. That's what it's going to cost you, and slightly different materials. But again, as I've said in this review, I don't think that's that big of a deal. I don't think you're really missing out on much by not getting that. So that's the most interesting thing, because you get all of the AI features. Every AI feature Google talked about is available on the Pixel 9. It's not limited. It's not missing anything. There's nothing in here that is not, there's nothing in the Pixel 9 Pro series that is not in the Pixel 9. So Google's saying, hey, everything we're doing, you get. And as far as software updates go, you get the same promise as last year with you get 8 years of software updates and 8 years of platform updates. But it launched with Android 14 instead of Android 15. So it launched with the same software as it did last year. So the question was, does that mean you only get 7 platform updates? Because it launched with one from last year, and Google clarified, like, no, it will get 8 full platform updates. And I've already talked about several times how I really don't believe Google's going to keep that promise. If there's anything Google is known for, it's not keeping their promises. So I doubt that. I will be shocked if Google actually delivers 8 years of software updates to the Pixel 8. Put it that way. I'll be shocked. And even if it is, it's going to be such a watered down version of the software. It's going to be such a limited version of Android. You're not even going to want to use it. Let's just be real, because they already said, hey, we don't have enough. There's not enough hardware in those phones to run AI. You need at least 12 gigs of RAM to run this AI stuff. The Pixel phones, the only one that has the 12 gigabytes of RAM is the Pro. So anyway, getting off topic. So that's what makes it the most interesting. Also because of what Google might do with the Pixel 9a. Pixel 9a is going to come out next summer, most likely. So what is Google going to do with that phone? Well, that's going to do it. I've talked at you enough. If you liked this review, be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you want to see anything else about the Pixel 9. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time.